In this video we have a rather cheapo, probably $99 special Philips, could have been like $79 special car stereo. I picked up a pile of 3 different ones and this is the only really cheap one in it. Set the model number, it looks like it's date of manufacture, 25th of 6th, 1985. And then it's got slash 27th of the 8th, 1987, so maybe that was the period they made them in. So very basic, it says full stereo cassette, stereo tape, AM, FM with mono switch. Surprisingly got the knobs and the front bit. Now that's loose probably just because when you unscrew these bits it can loosen them off, or maybe someone's nicked one of the bolts off it, so, or one of the nuts I should say really. But anyway, I guess we can, well, I probably should pop the top off it. Possibly only one screw, so we can see what the tape deck does. But this one's here really just rubbish, but we might as well have a look at it since I got it anyway. Don't know why I really grabbed this one, but I thought, oh, why not, I'll grab the 3 that were there. Oh, it might have screws on the front actually, so this is one of the ones that screws from the front. I actually just use a pair of pliers to undo these things, and you can use a screwdriver if you're careful not to scratch it, not that we care much in this case. But these were a good cheap option, often used to just upgrade an old AM radio in a car where no one really cared that much. You may have only ran one speaker anyway because there was only one built into the car, because they certainly weren't much of a unit. But if you mainly just listened to radio and didn't care too much about hi-fi, these were the entry-level sort of cassette player. And yeah, just a very basic mech. Most of them weren't too bad as far as construction quality, as in they didn't break down much if you hooked them up correctly and didn't blow up the amp in them. They were pretty right. Yeah, it's definitely screwed at that front bit. Is it held in anywhere else? Usually they come off pretty easy, these ones, but it is a Philips after all. I don't think we have to take that off, but I think that's in the way, that bolt that attaches back to the chassis there. And Philips have done something a bit different with this one. Not that many people ever bought you these to fix, so you never pulled them apart much, because it just wasn't really worth repairing them compared to the cost of a new one. So the two, I think this is meant to flick up from the front. Do we need to actually take that off? Surely no. Yeah, I think we do. Philips have actually made it so we've got to press either side on that by the look of it. That one should come, and there we go. Press a bit harder, I think. That one's really stiff. There we go. Yeah, it's got little metal bits sticking out, and this looks like it has to flick up from the front and pivot backwards. There you go. And it still doesn't want to come off. Probably the first time it's ever been opened. We've got a TDA 2005 from ST Microelectronics as the amplifier. There's our tuning arrangement, of course just a manual winding one. It's still got the little ferrite bits that come in and out of some coils there. Like any car radio, but of course no fancy push button or anything with this. That pinch roller doesn't look like it's ever seen a tape, so maybe it didn't. Should be able to push that back, and there it goes. Very basic mechanism. Tape goes in, flicks that thing at the back. Basic playback head, no record, no auto reverse, no need for an erase head. And if nothing else, we've got a good Mabuchi motor in there. Well, we assume it's good. ED530 AD2F, 12 volt, 2400. So that might be good for something if it still works. and it's just a clockwise one, part number 1657C5 or something. Looks like someone's actually cut the antenna connection off. Oh, these are actually labelled with, well, they were with some stuff. Right return, left speaker positive. I'm not sure which one was the other right. And that's the power, so certainly grey, green and black are pretty standard. Oh, you return left, return right. I was going to say that should just be the earth. The common for both, so there are your two speakers. That probably is ground. That, which had a fuse holder, is obviously power. So let's hook 12 volts up. I guess I should hook the speakers up first, but let's just see if it does anything. Well, I'll check that one and see if it is ground. I don't know what else it could really be on such a simple unit. We'll just continuity from, yeah, that's definitely ground. They usually gave you an actual earth connection, and there goes the cassette player. It's actually running by the look of it. Yeah, a ton of torque. I can barely stop that. Pinch roller's working. Oh, well, we'll hook some speakers up to it as well. I'll just turn off the unit before I do. So we just join two speaker wires together, or a wire from each together, and that goes to our black. Making sure we don't short any of these out to each other or the chassis or the power or anything like that, because it's a good way to blow the amp chip immediately. Grey and green to the other two speaker wires, keeping the earth out of the way. Let's turn it down. Radio, we've got one channel. That's tone, obviously. That's balance. And we've got two channels. Something's not happy. Is it just the actual radio picking up rubbish because I'm rattling this around? And it's earthing and unearthing. Something still. I'll say AM works.
Things about ADM is that we all know why we're going in.
Oops, bump the balance. That turns it off. Light bulbs coming and going on the front here. Either the filament's blown or the circuit board's got a dried on or something on it. And that was a, whoops, I just bent it. Bad recording. If you want to fast forward this, oh sorry, rewind it, you've got to flip it over, fast forward on the other side. And it's rather slow. Eject it again. Should be some music on this one somewhere, and we've got a bit of, it doesn't have a brake or doesn't have anything on this reel, so the reel, just if you're watching it, just loops. It just keeps continuing a bit there, and the tape loops out as it runs on. And the sound's terrible, a lot of hiss there. That's out. That's actually quite a loud unit. I'm impressed, but yeah, that screw was loose, so the azimuth was miles out. Someone may have tweaked it. Possibly it got out on its own. I was going to say that sounded terrible. I wasn't expecting a lot from it, but it should sound better than that. But this actually, there was no sign of any wear on that head. So this thing might actually be in as new sort of condition. Someone may have just used it as a radio. Yeah, see, big loop up there, the tape. Not sure what those TDA 2005s are rated at, but they're a decent wattage, I think. I'll put that on the video. I'll have to look that one up on the internet. But this is also going through 8 ohm speakers, I believe. So it'll be even louder through 4 ohm car speakers. But this is actually a decent sounding unit, surprisingly. Pop could do with a clean. Other than that, it's basically a good working unit. I can't believe how good that cassette player sounds. It's like a better unit than you'd expect in one of these things. Very basic mechanism. Yeah, pretty sealed up pots. I'm not sure we can even really clean those, but we'll try it. One of these things with the blue plastic bits in between. And we've got to do the second pot because it's a dual pot. And the belt's still in good condition. Only a very thin belt, but yeah, I'm actually surprised this thing sounds anything like any good at all. I was expecting it to be a real piece of junk like they usually are, but got to give it to Philips on this one, even though I'm sure this was made in Taiwan or somewhere. Does it actually say where it was made? Well, fabric in China. Oh yeah, made in China. Wow, so that's a Chinese cheapo unit. Actually surprisingly good. Yep. Now we've got wow. And yeah, no sign that it's even had a tape in it. There's nothing. The pinch roller looks like new. Actually need a small one like that for a old national unit though. It's a plastic pin thing. But yeah, absolutely zero sign of use. You normally at least got a tape sort of coloured, either silver or rusty coloured track on that pinch roller, and there's nothing, and there's no sign of the slightest wear on the head. So if it was used, minimal use, but there you go. That's actually a surprisingly good unit for an old piece of 80s cheapo stuff. So I was sort of prepared to throw this thing in the e-waste, but I might actually clean it up a little bit, see if it can look half decent again. Oops, there's the knob. If I get these knobs clean and that, I mean, it's just such a low spec thing. Makes me suspect the radio probably sounds half decent as well. Certainly better than an old 70s basic AM only radio you would have got as standard in your car. And substantially better, I think. I'm actually surprised. Of course, cars are pretty noisy, so you do need a bit of volume, but not going to sound as good as it does here. Let's give this thing a little bit of a clean up and put it back to its, I don't really want to say former glory, because it's not a glorious thing at all. Like I say, I don't even know why I grabbed this thing. Well, their advertisement's got auto stop on it. That's pretty amazing. But yeah, not even a reel for the, or any sort of thing for the supply reel in it, because it doesn't rewind, so they don't even put something there. There's nothing to break it, so it spins on when you stop fast forwarding, but it soon gets the slack taken up once it's in play again. So I guess it's not really an issue, but yeah, pretty crude, rough and ready sort of design. I'll clean that knob off. I've bent it a bit. That does have some damage to it by the look of it, so that's no good. Clean the knobs up. And wow, this has been sitting in someone's shed for a long time by the look of it. If it survived this long, it must have been because no one would have kept one of these on purpose like they were going to use it one day, I don't think. And we've got cobwebs down in the front. Just a crude spring on the door. I'll clean out the back of the radio dial. Well, there you go. Oh, I've got to put the lid on first, I think, with this thing. I mean, the lid's filthy and horrible. Got to put our wire back in place. Oop, I've still got power on, better turn that off. Oh, that's right, we had to pivot it over the pin on the back, and that was your other mount. You either had something in the car to mount that to, or they used to come with a strap. Just a piece of metal with holes drilled every centimetre or so. And you would put one end of it over that, or part of it where one of the holes is, and then run it down or up to something if you had it under a dashboard or whatever, just to support the back so it didn't shake around, even though the bolts would hold it fairly well. And that was your standard little kit you got. They always came with a strip of that metal, much like the strapping you use in houses to brace up the frames. Just a perforated strip of metal, and that was your standard sort of installation kit. No wiring harness as such. It would have had a fuse holder, the other half of the fuse holder, of course. It was up to you to splice the wires onto whatever. I don't want to go on either. That one on that end is very reluctant to bend. Oh, better clean out the faceplate too, I guess. I didn't even think about that. It's always the rubbishy ones that are in good condition. Something that's never going to be collectible or of any interest to anyone, of course, is like new. And got all its pieces. The other two are nicer units, but I think well, they don't actually have these face plates. They're a bit newer than that, but usually they had a surround and stuff. That's missing. At least they didn't have knobs that came off like these ones. Most of the time people would take these out of the car, leave all these bits off, lose them, or throw them out or something separately, and so you just ended up with a radio. So it should have another two nuts. We did have the washers. And one of the nuts, and those bits always seem to get lost on them. Probably because a lot of the time no one intended to ever put it back in again either. And makes them basically useless. But yeah, of course I've got the knobs and everything for one that is useless anyway. Yeah, that would be the one with the dot on it, I guess, because it's the on-off one. Tuning doesn't need any sort of marking, and we've got one more screw in the back. And we don't really even know the model number of this thing, I don't think. I think that bit's long gone. Date, radio, cassette. Yeah, nothing to tell us what it is. Not that anyone's ever going to care probably, but that's it cleaned up, looks a lot better. Turn it on. Our light is currently not working, I don't think. Would have been pretty useless anyway. But there you go, a junky old, what year did we say it was? Between 85 and 87 by the look of it. Earlier Chinese unit. Possibly it would have been, they would have looked over it, had their own factory or something. But yeah, I'm impressed by how good that actually sounds on tape, so there you go. That I wasn't expecting to say about it. Most of them that had been used by people, you know, when you saw them, they'd been pulled out of a car, they'd had years of use, the heads were worn, as well as just about everything else in the mechanism for that matter. Mechanical issues, and they sounded terrible. They had intermittent problems with the mechanical or things that didn't work quite right. So this is, like I say, I'm pretty sure that's like new, that one. But that's the first one. We'll see what the next one is like. And this is, I'm pretty sure I've seen these somewhere before. I don't know if I had one once. Don't know where I would have had it, or someone had one, or I'd installed one or something, but this is a familiar looking Clarion ARB-1170. Maybe I repaired a few of them or something, I don't know, but it's definitely something familiar. Cassette only, we've still got the wiring harness in it at least. And this was sort of the era, they're pretty similar to the CD ones, but obviously cassette only. May have been sold alongside the CD era ones, just a cheaper model. But we're definitely more into that time period. And yeah, it should come off with a little bit of work on these. Sounds like there's something loose in there maybe. And this fitted into your sort of DIN bracket. At least I'll get more standard as far as fitting into the cars and stuff. But back in these days there was none of those pre-made wiring harnesses for different model cars. You had to make your own basically. I used to often leave the original plug still in there and hook onto the wires so they could put the old unit back in if they sold it, the car or whatever. It's got 93 on it, don't know if that's the date. 12 volt, negative ground. Nah, nothing probably much to say when it's from. Bit more fancy deck, I assume it's auto reverse. Yes, it says auto reverse, high power. I guess that's band. Oh, we've actually got a detachable front on this one, there you go. So definitely from that sort of CD era. There's a lot of corrosion around that, so it doesn't look too good. It's probably just the metal work around the LCD. PSAS auto search or something display. That'd be tuning up down. T-M tuning dash, dunno. Left rear, front rear, so probably got a fade. Oh, that's AM. Oh, AM. That's not FM, I don't think. Dunno. A-M, T-M. Oh well. This one we know we're going to have a yellow. Already got a fuse on it, and that's in terrible condition, so it's got to go. Someone's soldered to that, I think, but. Yellow and red are your standard. I think red's full-time power, yellow's switched by the ignition power. And these just the pairs of colour. Blue I think was antenna or something, automatic antenna. Black will be our ground. Sometimes you should check these a little better, but this is standard wiring colour at this point. Grey, green, purple and white, that's your pairs of speakers. We'll just make sure none of those touch. Sometimes the blue, it might have been the lighting or something, so you could have the lighting come on. A lot of these just lit up anyway, so they didn't worry about that. But I'm only risking $5 here, so I think we're safe to hook this up. Nothing much happening. Oh, we've got a clock. Oh, there's the power button by the look of it, which doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah, well, that's different. Yeah, it's got a different sort of motor in it. I think it's still a Mabuchi one, but well, there's the brand. Yeah, I wonder if this could be a Tennishin mech in this thing. Who knows? It's got a few black printing things on it. Oh, what does that say? TOM-2. Don't know, but Tennishin did make a lot of car cassette stuff. Now, that's definitely on. Yeah, that power should, I assume, switch it on. So whether it should light up. I guess the other thing is these have got this little slidey thing. Dead as. Oh, I wonder if there is actually a fuse in that thing. It's another thing to check. Is there a fuse? Is it intact? It's acting a bit like it's got power but not ignition. we may have to pull, I guess the other, yeah, I'll put the fuse holder back in. Pull the bottom off. Oh, I don't know if this one actually has a bottom that comes off. A lot of these are a pain because you have to pull the whole guts out of them to work on anything. Yeah, it's acting very much like we got no. Take that off, it loses all clock and everything. Does it have a flashing red light? Doesn't look like this one does. I guess just the fact that it obviously is missing its front is enough really to put most people off. Now, could this switch be faulty? Could something in the front here? That's another thing that can play up. Is that connector or just the buttons? Or it could have lots of green corrosion down in there. Ugh, and something horrible at the back here. Well, this one's not looking too promising. Yeah, just a chassis, even though it's got a few screws that we can undo. I think that'll loosen the back up so that we can actually get this out of the case. But yeah, this is looking rather poor condition. Probably been in some old car that's set out in the weather or something. I guess I should have checked it a little better before I put power on it, but anyway. No smoke came out, so we haven't done too much damage, I don't think. Take out the cassette deck. And who knows, maybe it won't be going back together anyway. That one does remove without taking the front panel off. Let's see what it looks like under here. Cassette deck looks pretty mint, clean, belt's still in there. That is an EG520 ED-38D, 2400 RPM counterclockwise. I still don't think it's got a date on it, probably. Don't think this company ever put dates on things, which is a pain, or it's probably a date they can read. But yeah, a lot of corrosion there. And what's down the back here? Yeah, some sort of muck, but it's not corrosion, I don't think, at least. It's not as bad as I thought, but yeah, that sort of thing probably could disconnect something if that's gone through the copper side, which I wouldn't be surprised. That diode or resistor or whatever it is probably not the best. It's got rust growing out of it. I think it's a resistor. And this is where you get problems, because if you don't have a manual, you don't know what value it was. That could be certainly something to do with it not turning on. Yeah, with a backlight. But whether that works. They were quite common for these IF units getting dry joints in them, and the radio would drop out on one or both bands. So what is holding this together now? We've got, oh, that just lifts up. Yeah, that you can see that coming. Although someone's soldered it to the case, which is a pain. This should start lifting up. That braid, something feels very solid. Oh, there's a screw there. And this is generally what you've got to do, because you never see the same model twice, is just slowly get things loose. Something definitely solid is still, well, I think we've got to take the front off anyway, one way or another. Sometimes they're screwed to things. Let's see, I think we've got to take the screws out to get it off. Because it clips separate to the circuit board part. It's got to slide out and then release the circuit board behind it. I've got a third clip under there, one on each end. I don't think fingernails are going to cut it with this one. That's cracked, so someone's probably been at that before. There we go. Not its first time apart, I'm guessing. Could have been some other damage caused that. It should lift. Now sometimes they've got soldered parts. There's something under there. I'm seeing some sort of metal tab. Is that some sort of anti-tamper thing? No. Is it? Yeah, there it is. Look for the metal tabs from below, and we've got one twisted here. That's why I've got to do it kind of gently, because you'll crack the circuit board if there's another one. And no doubt there's one over here near that little socket there. Maybe a tad more. Well, something's happening, but not a lot either. Sometimes you got to give them a little bit of helping hand. Yeah, let's just prise that up a bit. Am I missing one? That one doesn't come through where I broke that bit of paper. Oh, wait, yes it does. It's in a slightly different spot. It's got a bit of wire hiding it, so there's a wire soldered onto that one. Okay, that's that. I think the blob went with it. Oh yeah, look at that. Suddenly we should just have to unsolder that and we're free. I'm tempted just to cut that at the moment, but it shouldn't be too hard to get that braid out of there. Just being very careful you don't flick hot solder up into your face and eyes and stuff, because these have a habit of letting go suddenly. You really need a bigger soldering iron. Here it comes. Just like keep your soldering tip on it as it rises so it doesn't flick everywhere, because they can send molten solder all over the place. We've still got one wire attached. I'm more interested in having a look. It's got 997222, I don't know, something on there. So yeah, so these are labelled power, backup. Oh, ACCB/U, maybe that's not backup. So accessories is your switched. Oh, what power antenna, so that's our blue wire. Yeah, backup is your battery at all times. It's not actually powering much, it's just keeping the memory on the unit. Where's our corrosion? It is over there. I can see one bad joint, or potential bad joint. Doesn't look like the corrosion came through though. We could have a faulty component there. What's the bit there connected to this accessories or something line? Let's plug the front back in. Now I've got a clock back. No idea where the power comes back to tell the micro to turn on. It should be 5 volts or something, I guess. What pin that would be on? Oh, we've got a reset, test point. Switch the multimeter to the right thing. There's a voltage there of some sort. Oh, there you go, 5 volts. Reset may have something similar on it. We've got 5 volts. Well, the fact we've got a clock, I guess, already proved that. Audio frequency out, antenna ground, DX, oscillator VCC. That may have nothing because the micro probably has to tell that to turn on, so we've got no radio power. But like I say, without the micro turning the unit on, I wonder if that power switch is any good. This is where a manual would be really handy on this thing. I might even see if I can find one, because I'm going to have to call it quits for now. Anyway, let's see if we can find a manual and any sort of circuit for this thing. That'll make life a lot easier. Otherwise we might have to pull the front apart and check the switch is working. Well, thanks to Electro Tanya coming to the rescue again, we've got a circuit for this thing. That's the full circuit on one side. I've zoomed in a bit here. There's our keypad on the front. That's the front panel connector. We've got P on here somewhere. Like most things, we've got a matrix of buttons, so you've got multiple lines. Looks like the other side of them all goes to ground via different resistances. They all feed into our microprocessor. And I did find a power out here somewhere. Or was it up here? Power. So that's the pin we're looking for. We've really got to check that the input goes in. I guess that this thing, we know it's got a clock, so it's in standby mode. It's got voltage. I think we can say the oscillator's running, the reset's working, all that sort of thing, more than likely. Power comes out down here to a transistor, which feeds another transistor, probably a higher power one. We've got our backup line through a choke into that transistor, out of it, and it comes up to this line here. We've got B+, should turn the lamps on. We've got a fuse, and that blue wire that I was saying is the power antenna, which is what it's actually labelled as elsewhere. They've got it as amp turn on, because of course you can turn an amp or any accessory on. I think where does it go to? Letter F. Yeah, they're calling it auto antenna, while at the same time calling it an amp turn on, but either way that turns on. So that's our line. Where else does it go? Probably some other regulators and bits and pieces. I'm not sure what voltage comes out of there, but that's going across an inductor, VCC into our AM tuner. I think they got 8.2 volts. But either way, that's our main power on. That's pin 78 or something. It wouldn't be 78, would it? Pin 28 of the chip. So when we press the power button, we should get pin 28. Feed into Q205, I think that is, which feeds into Q202. And I didn't even think about it at the time, but I guess the obvious thing would be just to hook to that blue wire on the back here. I can strip that off and just see, does anything happen to that? So let's put the front panel back on. The fact that we don't get any lights or anything pretty much says that it's not doing anything. Now, which pin is which on this IC is the next problem. I think that little dot is, oh, there's another dot there. There it is. Yeah, the outline of this chip has a little angle there, so maybe that's the corner. I hate it when they put two dots on things, it makes life difficult. Maybe that corner's pin 1. So it's 1 to 24, and obviously 4 pins along the next side. One, 2, 3, 4 goes down into this resistor and back to there, so I don't think that's the right pin, potentially. Oh no, it does go to a bunch of resistors. The manual for this thing only had the circuits, which is a good start, but of course we don't get a board layout to show us what's what. Which can be very handy with this surface mount stuff. We've got a 103, so 10k resistor. And it does go into a 10k. And then another 10k off that 10k. It could be the right spot. And it's a 1, 2, 3 at 12k. And there's a couple of pins. What do they go into? Diagonal on the corner there. What on earth are there? A couple of links, I think. I wonder if these transistors are the ones we're looking for. Unfortunately, again, nothing labelled, so this is actually, the circuits are not that useful. I think we'll trace that blue wire back maybe. Power antenna, let's see where that goes. It does go into this corroded area, what a surprise. That's our main switching transistor, which feeds... Yeah, it's probably going to be this corroded spot into this other transistor, no doubt. It goes to the... Well, I'm getting that transistor there. It goes via, I'm assuming, links to the 4th pin here, so maybe that's pin 28 there. That would make that other corner pin 1, I think. But what we can do at least is, if that's it, we've got our clock. Ground, and that pin went to where? This bit, I think. There. Nothing as expected. Let's hit the power button. It may not change anything on the display. Oh, there we go, 4.34 volts. So it's this mess over here. Not surprisingly, we've got 0.7 volts there, so that's trying to do something with that transistor. Well, 13 volts, isn't that our power? Huh, it is. You telling me this thing does that much? Yeah, make up your mind. Well, that seems to be on permanently. Well, let's raise the spanner in the works. That's our base drive, 12.85. 12.8. So are all the globes blown and that's all it is? Oh, yeah, we've got radio now. Oh my gosh, as soon as you touch the thing, as soon as you know which part's faulty, it decides to work on you. Now I can't actually turn it off though, whether you turn it off that way or not. Let's take the power off. That is so typical of electronics. Now it decides to work. This always happens to me. As soon as you track down the area where the fault is, yeah, it's a little dicky, but it's actually, I wonder if that button's just, yeah, look at that, it's shot on and shot off against it. Maybe it is the actual button, not that corroded. Now that I'm using it a bit, maybe it would have been the most used button, so I think we've actually got a dicky button after all that. Despite all that corrosion and damaged looking components there. Oh well, I guess we're going to have to pull the front apart. Now this happens to me all the time. It's such a pain when you're trying to repair stuff, especially into mittens, and every time you go near it, the fault would come good on you. Yeah, that's not going to fit down in there. So there may be not much wrong with this at all. But let's see if we can make that more reliable. At least we'll know if we change the switch. Assuming I got one that fits, which I should have, hopefully. So those little kits from eBay come in handy. What am I missing here? Something's holding on around that connector. There's some sort of clip in there somewhere. There we go. Now you got to watch all these springs and stuff don't fall out. Where even was it? Down this corner. And yeah, back in the days of little incandescent lamps on the front panel. What's holding that in? There's a clip there, is that all? And a clip on the clear plastic stuff there. Can I work that out from underneath? It's very hard, that plastic. It does not want to, there we go, just wiggle it out from underneath. A fairly standard looking power switch. Could just swap it with one of the other ones if you don't have a spare. Not the best solder joints on it either, I don't think, so it could be that, but I don't think they were that bad yet. Pins are all bent over to make it more difficult, so they don't move around in the wave soldering machine or something. Come on, bend you little. Usually best to do it with the soldering iron tip, because that way any solder's molten and you don't rip the track off the board. But man, they do not, this tip's a bit too big for getting under them. Sometimes you've got to use some side cutters or something. It's sort of coming. One side's free. I think I might have broke one off. So I'm definitely not using any of that one. Was still jammed in there despite my efforts. And that one too, I think. Oh, I just realised this is actually a 2-pin switch. They just made it look like a 4-pin. That's just the wire link, that other bit. Oh well, that's my mistake. So used to the 4-pin ones. And of course, right where the switch was, they put another thing exactly the same spacing. Oh yes, it's just a 2-pinner. I think they had 2 pins in here. Maybe not. So we're going to have to go to the second-hand collection. I should have some of those. Sony or someone used to use them in something commonly. Did I just see one? No, that's a 4. I know, oh I didn't, I used to have a bit of circuit board out of something I saved. There's a round one with 2 pins. Yeah, I'm not sure I've even got one. Look at a long shafted one. Oh, here we go. It's probably too long as well. Might have to do. I can always file it down, I guess. Tiny difference, but half a millimetre or something. I might just shove that in there and see. Make sure that's pushed all the way in. Don't want to make it any longer than it already is. Clip this back in and see what it feels like, whether it's kind of pushing hard against the button, which I think it is. Yeah, that's too long. No, that's going to press hard against it, so that's no good. I could put a little thing to lift the board up there a little bit, I guess is another option. That would actually work. It's right on a screw hole, so a tiny washer there. But then the whole front panel's not going to fit the best. Not the best way to treat the poor thing, but what can I do? That might work. How did that bit go? You can see see where it pivots. The pivot bit goes at the top. Oh, that's the panel release, I think. Yeah, now we're working. I don't bother putting any screws in that for now. We'll just plug it back into the unit. Turn that back on. And doesn't do anything. Now that's a bit tight still. That's about the same. Maybe it doesn't like turning it on and off quickly. Or do we have to hold it longer? So maybe I wasn't pressing it. Well, it's certainly more reliable than it was. Not sure I was pressing it exactly right. The other thing we should probably check is whether that connector's got good solder joints on it. Yeah, it's a little, I think you've got to hold it just slightly longer than I was. So maybe that switch wasn't that bad. But we couldn't get it to work at all at first, so I suspect it was bad. Now I just got to get used to the holding it just a little longer. Oh, well, there you go. I'll get some speakers hooked up and see if it actually does any more. We'll put the screws back in that thing. Okay, I'll pick some random wires to connect to. Oh, I better put the front back on. Yeah, now I've screwed it all back together. That switch is still too tight, which is kind of crazy. Must be just ever so slightly. Unback that screw off a little bit. Might be enough to get it to work. And just making sure none of these wires can short on anything. It's that tight. Oh, there we go. I don't know if I'm on rear, front, left, right, what I'm on. I need a screwdriver and an antenna socket. Yeah, that one doesn't work very well. Nothing wants to connect to it. Now which buttons tune? These ones on this side. Well, they're meant to. Oh, here we go. We're scanning. Whether it'll find anything. Probably not. Oh, there you go. It's got something. So yeah, I'll just check the balance and fader, and we are on the front, left and right, so that was a good pick. I thought grey and white went together, and purple and green are the rear set of speakers, at least in this case. I assume that's somewhat standard, so the radio's working. So we'll shove this back in the case and see if the tape works. Get all those little metal bits to stick through the board again. It's going to be the fun bit. There we go. I think that's it. Yep, screws match up on the back. Let's get rid of that connector. So now all I've got to do is just bend those back around. That one I don't think was even bent. Or maybe it was a bit. Pushing the board down. Where was the other one hiding near that connector? That in, that hasn't quite gone fully down. Just always check it's down before you twist. That wire needs to go back onto that one. Where'd that wire go? It must have been there. Yeah, that's right, that was the last one we disconnected. And bit of solder coming out the edge. Put the tape mech back in again. And see what's wrong with that. I'll put at least one screw in there, probably two. I might as well clip everything back together and then put the front back on. Door moves. Get some of the dust off this thing a bit. Sick of looking at it so dirty. Let's clean that display off where it's got a bit of corrosion on it, which won't come off. Make this thing look a little bit more decent than it does, because it is filthy. That's on. Get our connectors back in place. Get rid of those switches. There it is. Let's just flick it in the menu. It's making a horrible noise. Changes direction alright. Looks like everything's running, but the reels are clicking pretty badly. So it's something common to both of them. Is it the way I put this thing back together? It's not impossible. Shouldn't be any wires touching anything. I think we're a bad gear or something by the sound of that. But I think we can shove a tape in there safely. Not a wow. Now, if you just play drum and bass on it, you probably won't notice the wow and flutter in it. Well, let's turn that off. I think this came out alright because, of course, the buttons don't go through the front since it's a detachable front. That's one good thing about detachable fronts. You don't have to take the front of the machine off to get the mech out. As normally these buttons would stick right through. Oh, the motor actually runs directly into a gear as well as onto the belt. So the belt probably comes around here, drives the two capstans and not much else. And yeah, it's got a bit of at least dirt in there. I don't know if it could have a bit of gritty stuff in there or something. Certainly rather dirty. But there's another gear. I don't know if we can just take this plate off. Yeah, I think this plate's separate to the other bits underneath are all on another plate. A couple of wires just slotted in there. Is that my imagination, or does that gear look a bit dodgy? Yeah, that's one of the real... Cool, sounds fine at the moment. Now we can start hearing a bit of belt's a little loose. Doesn't like that because I'm going the wrong way, but that gear, look there, looks like it's sitting down or something weird, but maybe that's just because it's disengaged. You'd assume it'd be coming off this one. Would be what's making the noise. Do we have a bad tooth or something stuck in that gear? Of course, very hard to tell. I think what we're going to have to do is just hook power to this motor independent of the main unit. Looks like it's hooked to earth, and the yellow wire there, or not. What is the earth hooked to? Well, there's a switch which is completely independent. We don't have power on, that's what my issue is. Took on to the positive. There we go. Of course it bloody disconnects. How's it this bit that's ticking back and forwards? Very hard to tell what that is. Can we get it to change direction? We can. That gear's rather noisy, I think. No, it doesn't want to do it again now. Oh, there we go. Oh, something's gone wrong. So that noise is still happening. I see, of course, we get auto reverse to operate that way as well. Interesting, even with the reels stopped, it's making that noise. It's definitely in part of this auto stop mechanism, I guess. Yeah, it just stopped, didn't it? Maybe it just needs to be run for a bit. Still a little noisy. And there is noise coming from the reel as well, I think. Yeah, I think that gear is noisy. It doesn't look the best. It looks too low or something. Maybe I'm imagining that. Yeah, that reel's definitely noisy, either the reel itself or that gear. I guess the gear's spinning. I can see where it actually looks like it's biting into the metal there. I can see its scratch marks and it looks kind of low or bent or something. Something's going at a high speed on there, so the fact that it's going clickety click, clickety click quite quickly means it's got to be one of the fast turning gears. Don't know that there's much we can do with it. We might try pulling that bit off, but if you want to change a belt in one of these, that can easily be done at the moment. Just loops around there, and back around that little pulley onto the motor. Going to be a pretty long one by the look of it. Problem is, if we take this off, you don't know what you're actually going to upset as far as little bits of mechanism. It may all come off in one piece and not be a problem, but it may also be a major pain. A lot of these new ones here are not bad at all by the look of it. Thankfully everything's all together on there. Don't know if I can really get them to do anything. They feel a little stiff, but now we've got a clutch on the bottom. Oh, I see, the clutch bit is what is the auto stop. See, I wonder if these are a tension. They certainly look like they could be. What we're going to still do is fire that motor up without it. Now, it just could be that there we go. Yeah, it's still rattling like that. I thought maybe without a load it won't be carrying so much necessarily, but so what are we going to do? Take the motor pulley off to get this one out. I know you can lift it out. It looks very dry under there, so that could be, yeah, dusty even. Let's lube it up a bit with some grease. That's more than we need. Maybe a bit between the washer and the plastic. Because we've got to come in on an angle. Better get those lined up nicely. Could just be the teeth. Sometimes these gears, if they're a bit warped, or like I say, something wrong with the teeth, even a little tiny bit of grit in there that you can't see will do that sort of thing. There we go. But at least that's one that cooperates. Yeah, sounds worse than before. Motor's making quite a bit of noise. Don't think it really changed anything. Is it just because that's sitting a bit looser? Yeah, that's back to the clicking sound. I think that gear's just rising up. So yeah, never much fun trying to fix these things. I'm just going to inspect that gear for a bad tooth or a piece of grit in one of the teeth. Some very tiny stuff there, nothing you'd think would cause any issues though. I wonder if that motor's noisy too because I took the belt off. That could be the issue. Would actually make sense because it is sounding like it's just running with no load. It's probably just a bit noisy without this rubber pulling on it a bit and putting a bit of load on it. Everything's come off, of course. Guess I should really measure the belt. Now that one's gone under. Not much fun belts to put on. Okay, maybe we'll do it that way then. Let's see, get around this one. Problem is, if it doesn't fully go in the slot, it will come off like that. Too many things to juggle. And of course someone put a silly bracket in the way. Let's get it around that way. Something mustn't have gone fully in the slot. That's not on the bloody motor, unbelievable. Belt definitely feels a little loose. Yeah, that's got it. That got rid of that noise. Still a bit rattly on one of these. Yeah, when I pressed that one it came good. Can make it click again, that's interesting. Could that be even the motor? Interesting, after pressing on that, doesn't make a weird noise anymore. Yeah, but that gear's definitely got a bit of a tilt in it. So is that one. Oh, that one's really loose. Yeah, they're not the best design. A lot of these things, they do wear out. Probably really needs a new gear and whatever it sits on. So we've got two clutches on these that rotate that little bit that pivots. That's what keeps this other bit pivoting around. And I think when it stops moving, that's when probably this piece here, is it that pin? Something, oh yeah, that pin, I think that pin went in this bit. That's, yeah, there's your changeover bit. That's what pivots side to side and engages one idler or the other. So we have to make sure that pin on that gear goes into that slot. There's usually something that you've got to get right. And that really doesn't want to go back in there. Oh, plug's got caught up in it, of course. There's always something with these things. Yeah, that's definitely the wrong position. How do we rotate that? We turn that gear. Oh, it's not engaged at this point. So that should be further this way, I think. So we should be engaged on one side or the other, I guess. Now the belt's getting caught up in there. Yeah, that's got it, I think. Now we've got a little pin there. Has to fit on the end of that gear, I think. Something else is catching. And yeah, you can see down, there's a piece, that little bit I was sliding back and forwards, the pin's in that. Something still doesn't feel like it's fully engaged here. But who knows what we're now. That bit has to fit on that pin, which it now has. Something on this side's not going in place. And this is why I don't like taking these things apart, because they never want to go back together. This thing, I think, is... Oh, you can flick that from above, maybe. Oh, does that have to sit on this pin? That is what is pressing up, I think. I'm going to move this across. Yeah, there we go. There's a little pin comes up. Now, do we get the other bit in place? Yes. It still doesn't want to quite move where it should. That screw hole doesn't line up is the only thing. Oh, there we go. Something happened. But that's what it takes. I don't think we can do much with this one without new parts, which we won't get anymore. Certainly sounding better than it was. but to get it really quiet, but that's not bad at all. Not even sure exactly what we did. It seems to be changing direction alright. When you work out, you've got to kind of press these. Normally you just press both buttons together should do it, but this one you kind of got to press one more than the other or something. And there's the little pivoting auto stop bit. I think if we just stop that reel by stopping everything, then it should. Though interestingly, it doesn't seem to actually change direction. That should flick this bit across. So I'm still not 100% sure if that's working. But I'm going to put it back together. That's about all I can really do with that thing, I think. Though, yeah, really could do with a new belt, but there's not much point. Since I'm not restoring this thing. It's more of an inspection really, and see if we can get it running. It looks pretty good in there. One of the 4-track kind of heads. Oh, we've got to get this. Where did this wire go? Anywhere in particular? Obviously don't want it going near the motor. Probably set something like that, I guess. Don't want it touching the belt or anything. And this has got the 4-track sort of head. So it just switches the head based on direction. Now let's screw it down. Put the power back on the main unit, making sure our speakers in there trying to touch each other aren't touching each other, and watching the earth definitely don't want that on there. Comes on. Since we fiddle with it, we'll test it again. So even with no load on the reel, sounds half decent. Always test it without a tape first. At least this one's got proper rewind and fast forward. One thing I forgot to do is clean the corroded bits off. I was going to run a cotton bud and maybe a toothbrush over that to clean it up a bit. But surprisingly, despite looking so bad, it's fine down there. And it was right in the circuitry that would have caused the power problem. You just got to hold it a little longer, that switch. But it's coming and going, no problem now. If I hold it for just that little longer. But yeah, if I tighten the screw back up on that front, it stops working, so it really wants an original type switch. But again, I'm not going to bother restoring this thing. It doesn't have the surround bit that should go around the front. But at least it's working again. And yeah, not too noisy. Some of that noisiness might have gone away just from running it, but there was something a bit unhappy there. really everything should probably be lubricated in it if you're going to restore it and use it again. And new belt. At least these aren't as old as some of the stuff, so the belts are still somewhat intact. Those black screws I've got to go back in the front. Get that rusty screw to match the rusty patch there. And maybe we've got one screw left over, hopefully not. Don't think there was a fifth one in the cassette player, was there? Well, that hasn't gone on. Yeah, I think I have gained a screw. Where are we? That. Where did I get a screw from? Oh well. No doubt in the editing I'll see where an extra screw came from. The only place I can think is there was another one on the tape deck I missed. But we do have a spare one there. But since it's only my junk, that's just, you know, probably going to end up back in the e-waste or something one day. Anyway, unless I can prove in some way that that mechanism's a tension, which would be nice. And yeah, I guess the motor out of it, heads, etc. could be good for something. But that's that one. I haven't fully cleaned it up, but that come up half decent again compared to what it looked like. And we've got one more here, unless it's still got the bracket on it, which is a Pioneer 35 watt times 4. Is that just the wiring? No, there is something loose in there. KEH-1750. Made in Malaysia. Yeah, we've got a clip. Normally have a little prong that goes down these sides. Some have two prongs. These ones you just got to loosen that bit off. If you imagine that's still in the dash of the car, and the same on the other side. Normally that one's possibly, you know, someone's bent the hell out of that one, as often happened. That's how you get it out of your dash. And yeah, this looks more like your normal wiring harness with, well, someone's used actually bullet connectors so they can be pulled out again. I often just crimp them on stuff. But depends, yeah, this one doesn't have a removable connector by the look of it. We've got a fuse in there. We've got a line out on this one, so a bit more fancy. As you often got with Pioneer. I think this top cover should just prise off without a need for any screws. A lot of them are like this. Most likely a 90s era, lots of dust in it. That's got a nice big amp chip in it for sure. Looks like a very similar motor though, in size at least. Completely different mech, I think. I remember these ones with this little slidey white plastic thing. These were quite a common mechanism. Is that going to go right to the end? There we go. Yeah, not sure if they were Pioneers or in other things. Maybe they were just a Pioneer one, but I definitely remember that being a reasonably common mech. I generally didn't look at car cassette if I could help it, but you always had your regulars and stuff would ask you and you'd look after them. But yeah, something I'd prefer to stay away from. But yeah, quite a nice little unit. It looks like this. Oh, we do have a detachable front. Oh, it's another good one that we don't need to take this front plastic bit off to get the mech out. It just lifts out of there. Oh, there's what's loose in it. I can just see it's stuck to the back there. Screw. That's why I normally check it. Oh, there's another screw down in there too. So where do they come from? It's jammed in place, that one, but it's Not screwed in place, that's for sure. That's a bit random. Has someone tried to fix this? They're smaller thread type. No sign it ever had screws holding the top cover on. Oh, I can see a missing screw there though. Oh, well, maybe we should pull the mech out. We can still test the radio and everything normally. It depends though, some of these mechs when you unplug them, the switch on the side, these, especially with that many connectors, will actually disconnect more than just removing the cassette player, because it switches, maybe not the audio, but part of the power through this to tell the radio to come back on when the tape's deactivated once it's ejected. This one's probably going to be an example of that. I wonder if I can see two missing screws. I wonder if they just rattled loose over time. That could mean they've shorted something out in here. You never know, someone might have had a go. Oh yeah, that one's loose as well, so someone may have pulled the plate off this. Why just throw the screws back in there, not sure, but this is a dual belt model, very kind of similar on the surface to the one we just looked at. Very loose belt. Not totally shot yet, but yeah, we can turn that one without it. I'll lose it. There's a little bit of grip, but not a lot. Similar sort of mech under there that then slides things across, but the idlers are completely different in this one. Idler actually slides between the reels on the top there. Rather dirty looking thing. I've just got one of these mid-mount. Yeah, this is another one with a mid-mount head. Yeah, I don't think I ever really took any notice back in the day, but this is another one where the head must move up and down. Can't remember what that other one was, a Eurovox or something I looked at. Yes, this is another raise and lower head type mech. A2A stamped in there. That number on top doesn't really tell you who made the mech. Oh, here we go. Maybe we got something on the back. It's a Shinwa. I think they were a company who made mechs. I've definitely heard of Shinwa before. So that's interesting. Shinwa patent pending or something. What is that actually on there? Is that a little switch? Oh yeah, a little switch in there. So yeah, I drop the mech in to release the pressure on this switch, whatever it's pressing on it, so I can get it back in without bending it. You can usually pull them out. But yeah, it says Shinwa Pat P, so patent pending 01-01-AM. Oh, well, that's nice when they actually put their brand on these things. And why not? Should take pride in your products. But like I say, no doubt the manufacturers don't like anyone seeing, like consumers seeing who made bits of their machines, if they didn't make it themselves, but at least Pioneer don't seem to have cared on this one. So that switch must switch on when the mech is ejected. So maybe that supplies, yeah, it's on now, power to the radio or something. Which way was it? That way. Yeah, rather dusty in there. Oh, let's see if my battery doesn't run out first. If we can get this powered up and see what the actual main unit does. Let's just put everything back together until we know what's going on. I've got a Hitachi amp chip, HA13155, radio tuner IF, And that's about all of any real interest in there. It's got a toroidal type choke to get rid of electrical noise rather than the old transformer type. Probably makes sense given everything was going that way by now, or by the era this was made. But we'll plug the mech back in and at least put a couple of screws in, just so it switches everything and so we can test it, see if it does run or not. Put a couple of screws in just to be safe. Front back on. Must pivot that way, does it? No, it goes in that. Oh, I don't know how it goes. Oh, it's on. Now, what a mess. Oh, I see someone's joined in and added, God knows what they've done. So, yeah, because that goes from green to white, green to white. So what have they done? Added extra speakers or something? Is this even a... I mean, they're usually well isolated. It's accessories, at least I've still got a little tag on it. System and remote control, so antenna, amp, whatever. This should be the backup, I think. That should be ground. I'm not sure what that one is. Could be illumination. I think the speakers, we've got 3 grey and 3 green, which would explain why someone's got a double adapter on a couple of them. Yeah, on the negative one. So front and rear speakers are at least got a common ground. Yeah, we've got 3 greys, 3 greens. Orange is likely to be our accessories that we hook to that. Positive or battery and accessory, I should say. The usual mess of tape and dodgy connections and stuff here. Man, they sure wound up some copper there. That doesn't matter because that's only the... Oh, that's not the earth. Yeah, they've changed the colour on me halfway through. Better be careful with this. That's actually quite a high power cable. So that would be your battery. Well, we hope it is. Hopefully we don't blow this thing up. I guess we can double check. That's ground. Yeah. Even though that's the one that's not going to do any damage. Well, nothing really powering up. Oh, there we go. We've got 87.5. Half an amp or so being drawn. Yeah, things on the display happening. Volume. Tuning. Yeah, won't find much without an antenna. Where's my antenna gone? But you can at least see if it stops searching. It's probably working. Yeah, that's where it was stopping before. And it's picking up more rubbish than the other one. Actually found ABCFM by the look of it. This thing's stopping on everything. But it didn't stop on the radio station. Clock. Let's flick this in to see if it does anything. Again, super noisy, but it doesn't have a load on it, so yeah, the reel's running though. This one's got a light down. Okay, so we've got lit up buttons, light in the cassette well sort of thing, so you can find that, which is a nice design. Yeah, that direction's real noisy. Oh well, let's put some speakers on it. Yeah, there's something. Should have really turned the power off, but we've got... Doesn't sound the best. FM sounds more like an AM. Yeah, it shouldn't sound like that. Let me change band on this thing. What's that button do? Oh, maybe that was AM. That's an AM. Can I seek? What's that? I wonder if that's long wave or something. Must be something like that. Ah, stop it. Gotta push it right in to get it to drop. Oh. Ugh, and hard to eject. Ugh. I seem to remember issues like that with these mechs. That is well worn, though. You can see it's had a lot of tapes in it. Let's hook another speaker up, because it sounds terrible like that. Now we stop rewind. Sounds awful. Don't think that head's lined up very well. Oh, that's where it is. Now you can get it. You can get it down in there. Man, I'm getting some dirt off something, but I don't think any of that came off the head. We'll find out, I guess. I don't think this tape's so much good anymore. Also lost that one. Now we've got both channels. Yeah, it sounds terrible. It's a bit random. I think channels are dropping out a bit. There is a playback switch in here, or head switch. Don't know if we can really get much in there, but we'll keep changing directions. Just distortion on one channel. Interesting. What is that? I think that is something built up on the head.
Bush track near Chain of Lagoons on Tasmania's east coast. An 18-year-old man has been charged with attempted carjacking after allegedly threatening a mother and her 2 children with a screwdriver in Hobart after crashing his stolen motorbike through a red light on Friday evening.
Now, I can't remember exactly where I got with this, but I just had to fix this connection on one of the channels because the channel wasn't working. The wires were well twisted together under some tape, but one of them was definitely not copper coloured, so I'm not sure what they'd done there, whether it was bad solder that had gone oxidised or something, or not sure. But anyway, you always get dodgy joints when people wrap stuff together on that. I don't know how they do it, but they always manage to mess up the simplest thing. Oh, that's right, I remember what was happening. I was putting the tape in. Was it this tape? Or I think it was that TDK tape. It would play a bit, and then the heads would clog up. God, that tape does look dodgy as. So is my tape failing, or is it something the machine's doing? But that's got some weird pattern on the tape. What? It looks kind of rough on the surface, so I wonder if this tape's had its day, or at least in that part. Given the age of it, nothing would surprise me now, but it seemed to keep clogging the head up, which is a little strange. Ah, you little... Comes good, and then just have to keep a finger in there, I think, to rewind it in. Yeah, very strange. A little bit of patterning, but I don't think there's anything on this tape, so we're going to have to record something on it, I think. But yeah, making a lot of noise. Much like the other one, the Clarion. Let's try a different tape. Does it have something on it?
Hey Google, play Pulse FM Hobart.
Nice of them to troll your Google device. Yeah, it seems to play fine, so I think this tape might be time for the bin for that one. It does seem to have some weird, almost like it's got fine cracks in it or something. Oh well, so I guess we'll take this mech out and just have a quick look at why it is so noisy. If we can see much. Probably much like that other one, noisy plastic gears. I guess we can quickly check, but I'm pretty sure this won't operate. Turns on. Yeah, it does. Now it's interesting, that one runs without a tape deck in it. Some of them it looks like you can just yank it out and it doesn't care. Other ones I know they lose radio audio as well, possibly lose power. I guess with some of this newer stuff, there's a microprocessor, they probably don't have to have like actual switches on the mech anymore. So yeah, it looks very similar to the other one. Belt's definitely at the end of its life, but still hanging in there. I guess like the other one, we can pinch the power off the unit and run the mech outside of it. Just being careful, I don't like sliding that thing around because I'm going to short some speakers out. If this one's connected to the chassis, it doesn't look like it is. Now, whether we should run that with the cassette up is another thing. That's in ejected. Certainly making plenty of noise, and at least we might be able to see what's happening. If we can get that clip lead to stay on there. Definitely in that area, I think. Good thing about this one, we've got two belts. So let's disconnect our reel assembly. I'm sure it'll be fine without that running. Yeah, I can barely hear it. That's just the capstans going. Can you hear something scraping a little bit? Oh, probably because I've got it upside up that way. To show everyone, yeah, that's all that was. Believe it or not, some things don't like to run upside down. It's not a boombox or anything. This is a car cassette, so it's normally not. Yeah, I just realised that's come off too. So it's normally not running upside down, but that might just be because this has actually come off that pulley there. That certainly won't help things. Well, I can't hear a thing now, so that was actually the belt scraping. It still makes a noise when I tip it up. So those capstans aren't made to run upside down. That's dead quiet. Yeah, very nice design as far as that goes. But due for a new belt. I get a feeling these are a pain to change. Is this the mech? Some of these mechs can be a pain when you've got to take this piece out just to change the belt. Sometimes you could just lift it up a little bit, slip it out. But let's leave the capstans off for now, we don't need them. Very noisy. Well, we're going to have to pull it apart. This one, it doesn't really matter whether I get it back together again or not. Let's see. I think some of these decks, if you just loosen these screws without taking them out, I think there's another one on the side's got to come out. Oh no, this is the one you've got to get it. Now as a pin comes up, you might still be able to do it, but yeah, it's not so easy. Because you can take it off the top. Something sounded like it just let go, but you can potentially lift that if that gear didn't keep coming up. So that's going to be a bit of a pain. If we can get it off the pulley, we should be able to, wow, it doesn't want to let go, get that out of there. But at that stage you're probably letting things move under there potentially and get out of place. Four little screws. And this is where I probably should take a bit more notice what I'm doing. What is going on at this end? Oh, there goes the little pulley. That end does not want to lift. Oh, is it under the capstan? Ooh. Yeah, this is not looking good. Oh, it's this piece here, I think. Did we need to release that first? How do you release that? Yeah, that little bit has to come out, I think. And you push that bit down. It's already come loose, I think. That is kind of vaguely familiar. Yeah, we've got this bit loose now, so I should have dropped that bit. Does it go right over? Oh, it goes. It actually goes under that bit. Okay. So it goes. I thought it actually had to go up through the hole in it, but no, it just sits under the end here. There's a little piece of metal sticking out, and then we just put this one back in here and then back across. Yeah, so that just slides along the little end bit there. Is this part of the auto stop mechanism? It certainly looks Like it could be something like that. Or does it trigger the gear to run? Yeah, not quite sure. It pulls that back, allows that to rotate, something like that. Or allows it to swing back that way. Yeah, so this little thing's a catcher of these little blocks. When you press that, it allows it to rotate. And yeah, quite a bit of dirt again by the look of it. Working out which bit is noisy is always the fun bit with these sort of things. And I've got a little metal pieces dropped out. Where the hell did you go? Oh, right, where's our other gear that was, the pulley? That's the pulley that fits on there with that belt. Like so. Where did the little pin come from? Oh, it would have been something like that, I guess. How did it go up and down in this thing? That looks like the spot because it's got grease on it. So it went on a pin that went in there, which is which bit? Ah, I found it. It goes on this pin on that gear. Okay, so it's a little piece that can drop out. This is why I don't like pulling these things apart, because you never know what you're going to find. Now maybe lubing these will help. It kind of, is that rusty on there, or just meant to be that colour, or is it just possibly a little bronze bushing or something? But yeah, I used to hate faults like this because you can never tell which gear is making the noise. If it's a gear, is it a reel? Who knows what it is. These press on something, I think. Oh yeah, these have got a little clutch. Yeah, a little plastic bit there and a little plastic bit in the same spot on that one. And that pushes against this lever thing. So it probably is part of the auto stop or auto direction change is more the case with these things. That means these tend to feel a bit stiff because they've constantly got a clutch. It shouldn't be particularly heavy, but it does push. Oh, so it lifts up that way. That one, yeah, that one goes that way. It pushes on that plastic bit with this gear in the middle. That one goes the opposite way. Makes sense. It pushes on it. And I guess when they stop pushing on it, something here catches in the middle on this lever. Let's see, that would push it out that way. It doesn't really move a lot, but often they don't need to. This might be in the wrong mode as well. Yeah, who knows what is actual play mode. Yeah, then that probably, oh yeah, that's, so that is the auto or direction changer. I think this thing comes around, so yeah, this must change direction. Locks. If this thing pushes on that, it releases it and we change directions. So quite clever little mechanisms. What was this brand again? I've forgotten, but I did find there is a bit of info. Shinwa. They're actually still in business, I think, these guys. Though not making cassette players, of course. And there are some manuals online for like Chrysler car radios and stuff from America. And it was actually quite comprehensive, telling you how to fix the mech and stuff. And a few other mentions of like eBay mechanisms for sale, again for GM or Chrysler vehicles in America. And I think it actually says on their website they reckon they made the first auto reverse mechanism. So this could be some sort of descendant of that. I think the earliest, I did get a hit on the Pioneer side for Shinwa, but I couldn't find it anywhere. There is the history of Pioneer without reading every word on all the 1980s car stereos or something. I couldn't see it, but it looks like about 1984 was their first auto reverse car cassette that they mention auto reverse, so it's probably about right. Somewhere around that era would have been when auto reverse mix hit. Though saying that, we had a 1979 Corona, and that I think had an auto reverse cassette player in it. So yeah, not sure when the earliest. Maybe I'll have to look at some car specs and see when cars start advertising they come with auto reverse cassette players. Maybe somewhere like Hi-Fi Engine or something could go through various brands. But of course the car market is the ultimate market for auto reverse, because you don't want to have to mess around flipping the tape and stuff while you're driving. I mean, it can be done, but obviously safer if you don't have to do it. And we used to often listen to cassettes, particularly when we were going on long holiday trips and stuff like that. We'd have our music and the parents might have some of their stuff, and we'd just listen to cassettes the whole trip long. Especially when you, back in those days when you got out into the countryside, you couldn't hear much radio reception. So another 2 gears here. That actually sounds a bit noisy. Do they constantly run off one of these? Better watch we don't drop our little pin again. I think it went that way, didn't it? No, it went that way. So that goes in that way. Yeah, that gear there, which is also on that auto reverse piece, probably just because it's a good place to mount it. I don't know if that does some sort of auto reverse type something, I think. What does it do? And yeah, a lot of dirt. Yeah, lovely. That is, that changes the reel that's engaged. Well, this, and that's the bit that is making a bit of noise. These are exactly the sort of things that get noisy, they wear out a bit where those pins go through and start making noise. I might even though I don't recommend putting oil in cassette players normally, put a little bit of oil in there. Just a tiny bit. Not that we really care about this one. That's exactly the sort of piece that'll cause you a problem. Yeah, so as the auto reverse changes, it must push that across. So how it does it, something on there maybe. Let's see if that goes that way. I'm not sure. Oh, maybe it's the end of this bit. Not sure. I assume something. That's one possible place. And that's the problem. It can be hard to actually work out what actually does what in these things, because nothing seems to press on that. The gears just swing between those two bits. Now, mate, is it this bit lifting up? Well, that gear doesn't move. Oh, I really don't know. So we've got to get this gear here to drop into that metal bit. What does that actually do, by the way? Not really anything at the moment. Feels rather like it's stuck there. Must do something. Oh, that's what does it. There you go, there's a slight bit somewhere else. Oh, does it? Oh, it moves a whole piece down here somewhere, so I'm not sure where that goes. Maybe under the capstan. That is rather stiff. I think that could do with a lube as well, but probably on that pivot point. It must go under this capstan somewhere, because I cannot see anything from above. So that's our direction change, or part thereof. Yeah, so that's that same gear that I said that spins round. Now, how do you line that up? That's slightly out. I don't think we can line the metal plate up. We have to get the gear in the right spot. Yeah, that's it, I think. I guess we'll know if it goes down in there. And our other little piece has to come up here. Feels like it's kind of going back together. That pin's got to come through there, which, there it is. Oh no, I pressed on something and messed it up. That's it, I think, that does, it just pops out again. Something isn't quite right somewhere. Well, maybe it is. Something down this end, so I'm not sure if that pin did go into its hole, because something down here hasn't, the little piece has fallen off. No, now it's disappeared. Yep, almost need that bit. Probably should put some grease on that, I guess, so it doesn't come off. I'm going to put a dab of grease on there. And hopefully that'll make it stick, whereas it's almost impossible to even see the thing because it's white on white. So grease can be used as a little bit of glue-like substance. Make sure we're still lined up. I guess, yeah, if you lift that again, it's always going to come off that bit. And we're going to get this plastic bit through the hole, which it's not quite in place. And it's too far that way. Maybe that's one of our... Oh no, it's gone in now. Weird. And that bit there doesn't seem to drop down, so that screw hole can line up. Something just moved. That's still not right. That bit moves independently. Something here. Unfortunately, we can't see where that bit goes. Yeah, this definitely hasn't slipped through enough to get under that either. What is not going in? All other three seem to be in place. It's almost got to be that bit, hasn't it? Oh, there's the other pin here. Does it have to go... How does that work? What moves that bloody thing? Ah. Oh, what is it? Is it that when the mech drops or something? Should we have had the mech in? Oh, that bit's moved now. Maybe the mech should have been down to do this. That's another thing that might be the case. No, it still doesn't want to quite fit there. Oh, it's close, but... So it's not that gold thing now, that definitely wasn't the issue. It's got to be this thing slightly out. Oh, it is slightly out. Oh, I guess now that I've dropped the mech, everything's moved. Yeah, we got it now. So that must have still been a bit out, and then when I dropped the mech, it was really out. Let's just get that in there, and don't forget we've got to flick this bit back under here. Rather oddball design that is. Slide that back. and the metal is actually under that plastic bit, so I need to very carefully prise that up and slide it across. That is not a fun thing to do with something so old, but it seems pretty flexible still, so at least they made that out of good plastic. Because if this was a Philips, that would have broke off for sure. So thank God the Japanese use some good plastics. I mean, ridiculously good when you think how old these things are now, and they're still fine. Now whether this will still work or not, who knows. We'll leave that mech down. And just give it a quick burl, see if it actually seems alright. Well, nothing's turning. That's not a good sign. Well, it should do. Oh, now we've got capstans. And yeah, I think we're running, but we're a lot quieter. So I think it was that pair of gears. Still a little bit of noise. And yeah, this has got the mid-mount head sliding up and down. I don't know if we can see that. It's kind of cool to see. It's down in there, but whether the camera can pick that up. Where exactly is it? Man, it needs some more light, I think. Well, it's a little... Oh yeah, so you got that white pin, capstan, white pin. Oh, there it is, I can see it. So we're looking straight down in there next to that. Yeah, I'm going backwards because I'm on camera. Where that white pin is below here, there's a silver capstan, white pin, and then that's the silver head in there. And you can actually see it raise and lower. God, it's like working in a bloody mirror. Hopefully you can see that silver thing in there going up and down. How well focused it is probably not the best. Yeah, that's like acceptable noise levels. Back in the day you would have probably just replaced those gears. Got that whole gear assembly, all that plastic bit there, and put a new one in for the customer, because you know you don't want recalls and whatever. And especially, you know, like I say, the hours some of these things did, they're on all the time people were driving. Plus, yeah, bits of dust and stuff potentially getting in there and being abrasive. Oh, I didn't put the cover back on, did I? Always something you forget on these things. It was best just to replace the thing. If you could work out what was noisy, just order another one. Because it's really not worth messing around with. But these days we don't really have a choice since parts are no longer available. So that sort of patch up is all you can really do. Usually those gears with those pins, like the pins don't come out, they're sort of riveted in there. All you can do is try and get some oil. You might be able to get some grease or something in there. Grease would probably be better long term. But even that'll probably work its way out a bit. So let's just put that back together and give it one last test, I think. Yeah, come on, plug. Really need pliers to do that. And I think we've kind of got 3 out of 3 of these things working. And working like reasonable for the short term. So I think the Philips is about the only one, the cheapo one is about the only one we could trust long term to keep running. At least that was a Chinese Philips, so it didn't have their plastic in it. And that should be our earth wire, I think. And make sure I haven't shorted out any speakers here. Yeah, much quieter. Reels seem to be running, so it's safe to put a cassette in there. Didn't change, I didn't press it hard enough, I think. Yeah, that's quite acceptable, sounds pretty good. About what you'd expect from a tape player. I think that old Philips one actually might have sounded a bit better than that. It might have, I think I cleaned the heads after I last tried that 2DK tape in there. I guess we'll just give it a quick clean and that'll be the end of that one. Yeah, so it's back together. I'll just have a look at it. It's got a little nice little light up bit for the tape. A couple of buttons lit up there. Yeah, it looks like the controls are lit up. Yeah, radio numbers. Bit hard to see in this light. They're only very dimly lit. Not meant to distract the driver in those days. And I think if we hold this down a bit. Yeah, there we go. We got, I think that's tone. It's got volume. Yeah, then we got fader. And I think if we go that way, yeah, balance. So pretty crude, basic sort of one. Don't know if that's tone or what it is, but it does something. That's 0 to 6. Yeah, not sure. So the loudness is on. Where do I see the... Oh, that is the loudness button as well. I think if we... Oh, we're back to volume, so that should be normal again. Yeah. Once it's in that mode, it doesn't seem to want to come out, but if we turn it off, yeah, the loudness, yeah, okay. Well, I couldn't get it to go in that mode originally. I've got an R1 MS, not sure what all that is, BSM. Local is just for your radio station clock. And which one was it? That was the band, FM 123 AM. And it just goes searching for it. Normally once you press a little bit, maybe I have to turn the lights right off to see it. So that's what it looked like on your car dash. Camera's probably picking up better than my eyes are. It's not particularly bright. But that's a nice feature, having that bit there for the cassette. So that gives you an idea. So yeah, whether the cassette's in there or not, I guess that gets blocked a bit. The main idea is if you've got a cassette and you want to shove it in there, at least you've got a guiding light. So yeah, pretty basic what they used to be like, not all these glary stuff they got now. These were just a nice little basic unit lit up nicely. Now if we hook this Clarion back up. Yeah, the speakers can't touch. And it doesn't light up. We know that was a power out, so this one must have all blown globes in it. It doesn't light a thing up. Which did happen, especially if these front panels were removed a lot. And stuck somewhere or taken with people. They used to come in a little carry case you could take with you. I think a lot of people just hid them in the car somewhere, make it look like it wasn't in there. But that's those two. This is actually quite yellowed, the front of this. If we eject it, it's a lot grayer under there. It's kind of gone a yellowy gold colour. Probably suits some cars. The other ones survived a lot better, but that may have sat in the sun a lot more. And our old cheapo Philips. So these are much more basic sort of units than you see with the modern ones. And these were just nice to have in your car. Nice simple sort of things normally to use. Plenty of power. Even that one surprisingly sounds quite loud. Though, yeah, made for older vehicles. With the two shafts sticking out the front that went through holes in the dash. These of course were made for those DIN cutouts, which became the standard in all later vehicles. Certainly into the 90s, probably somewhere in the 80s I think they swapped to these. Hard to remember now, but in the 70s of that, yeah, all this sort of stuff. And not always as standard as this. Often you'd have to change the car to actually even fit one of these so-called standard sort of ones in there. Yeah, they look a lot better cleaned up at least, though. Yeah, these two are missing would have been some sort of surround to hide the DIN bit once it was in there, so that should fit on the Clarion as well as the Pioneer that it came off. But of course you've got this metal strip showing, so there's a little face plate to go around like you still get on modern ones. But a bit of fun getting them going, just for something different. I'm only invested $15 in those, but they are pretty much probably worthless anyway. They used to be handy in the old days for things like parts out of the cassette players or the amp chips or something you might be able to use in something else. But these days probably not much value at all. Unfortunately, there are people that collect car cassette players, but normally more the high-end stuff. These are just everyday units really. Maybe a little bit better than the base units to buy a Clarion or a Pioneer, but they were pretty standard sort of units. Still reasonably expensive back then, back in the 90s and stuff, but they were pretty run-of-the-mill as an upgrade from whatever the factory gave you, which, yeah, usually pretty low power. And yeah, there was a lot of Philips ones and stuff in Australia that had a lot of plastic parts that played up in them that Ford used at least, and I think I've seen them under other brands. I think I might have even seen one somewhere for sale recently. I probably should have bought it just to pull it apart and see how bad it was. Might have been one of the last working ones. I assume whoever had these probably kept them because they were somewhat working and they thought they might use them one day, as you did. People tended to end up with collections of these things just in case you need it in something. But they're all basically working again, though nothing special here. So thanks for watching.